law enforcement agencies will be fully supported to combat all forms of violent crimes and ensure that Nigerians live in peace. He explained that the government will also explore and exploit the abundant opportunities in the agricultural and solid mineral sectors to kickstart the economy. The chairman of the northern chapter of CAN, Reverend Yakubu Pam, commended the president for, among others, the blow dealt Boko Haram insurgents, leading to relative peace in the northeast and the release of some Chibok girls, as well as the fight against corruption, which he said should be taken to its logical conclusion.
We told Mr. President that he should know that at this point we have been encouraging our youth to go into farming, and they need to be protected. Once they're there in the bush for farm, their lives are not safe. And again, when they come into the city, there's no employment. So that is why farmers must be protected so that our young men will go back there. At the same time, we will say that it is good for him to know that Windows opportunity for employment is very important, because an idle mind is a devil workshop.
He said it was not a mistake that God chose President Buhari to lead Nigeria at these challenging times and pledged the unflinching support of the clerics to his administration. Reverend Pam expressed optimism that with President Muhammadu Buhari, the realization of Nigeria's greatness is just a matter of time. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Federal government has sent more than 5 billion naira as intervention fund to tackle environmental challenges in Katsina and Dara towns. The money was released by the Ecological Fund for construction of drainages and supply of equipment at Sapke Dam. Aminu Ishaq Abbas reports that the Senate Committee on Ecological and Climate Change embarked on an oversight function to monitor the execution of the project.
The Senate Committee on Ecological and Climate Change made an oversight function to Kaduna State was to ensure program management of funds allocated to the state by the federal government. The contract for the supply and installations of equipment at Sapke Dam in Daura was awarded at a cost of more than 2 billion naira. The contractor supplied 100 kVA transformer, 2 generating sets, panel control, and pumping machines. Investigation showed that about 1.8 billion naira has so far been released to the contractor, while the remaining balance of 600 million naira. A member of the committee, Senator Duro Fasai, raised an alarm over what the committee saw on ground.
I'm saying what I've seen here, they are not original and they are refurbishing. It's not new equipment.
The committee was also at phase 1 and 2 of drainages constructed by the federal government in Daura town. The chairman of the committee, Senator Bukar Abba Ibrahim, commended the contractor for a good job.
Very high quality drainage. The contractor has done a very good job.
While inspecting the 8.5 kilometer Copper Saudi Adeleke Bridge drainage system in Kaduna Metropolis, which the federal government released 2 billion naira, the chairman of the committee, Senator Bukar Abba Ibrahim, expressed dissatisfaction with the quality of work executed.
Even though the quality is bad, the quality is poor, what we have seen is much more than 2 billion naira. So we are satisfied our 2 billion naira has not gone down the drain.
The committee also paid a courtesy call on the Deputy Governor Alhaji Monir Yakubu, where he told the committee members that the state government is investigating the award of contract for the 8.5 kilometer drainage system in the metropolis. In Katsina, Aminu Ishaq Abbas, NTA News.
And back to Abuja, the Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism has tasked relevant agencies to invest more on strategies and projects that will rejuvenate the tourism sector so as to attract investors, tourists, and generate revenue under economic diversification. This was during an oversight function at the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation and National Institute for Cultural Orientation in Abuja. Chimdima Ndubusi reports.
At the Nigerian Tourist Development Corporation, the committee discovered that with the 225 million naira capital budget released to the agency and 33 million naira utilized, only 3.2 million naira was generated as revenue.
A festival in Igbo and Anambra, we discovered that many people attend, but they don't have a symbol that we identify with that festival. So NTDC built a yam house. It's the same thing we did in KB, Argungu. We built a fish house.
Enterprises of government like your own, they don't provide social services only. Yes. It is business for government. Business. What is it? Business? The business aspect we have completely thrown overboard. For you to maximize and start to earn money, go and look at your act. We are ready to assist you.
The committee therefore asks for more interface with the agency so that a proper plan of action on prioritizing and marketing Nigerian tourist sites and festivals can be developed.
Have a position paper, business plan. Yeah. Where am I going? Where am I now? Yes. Where do I want to get to? How do I want to get to the place?
At the National Institute for Cultural Orientation, the committee mandated them to find ways of getting returns from training programs and desist from paying outsourced services from overhead because the federal government is taking up such expenses. The Culture and Tourism Committee had visited the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization in Lagos. Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
The House Committee on Health Institutions has held a public hearing on some resolutions of the health sector. One of them is the need to restructure the Abuja National Hospital.
This hearing, House members sought the views of stakeholders on how best to upgrade the Abuja National Hospital through refinancing and reorganization.
We need to redesignate the Federal Medical Center to a specialist hospital to decongest National Hospital, and we need to restructure.
Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Jav Momo, corroborated House members over the states of the hospital.
But one of the reasons why services slowed down is the change in mandate from National Hospital for Women and Children to National Hospital, expected to be a PES referral hospital.
A bill seeking to establish the Dietitian Council of Nigeria and a motion on the need to build mobile hospitals along the highways, and that's urging the Federal Ministry of Health to revive the deplorable state of the stem cell transplant center in University of Benin were also discussed.
Lastly, the urgent need for the completion of the abandoned project at the University of Oyo Teaching Hospital.
Meanwhile, the Southeast Caucus in the House of Representatives has called for even distribution of projects under the external borrowing plan. The group also condemned the recent killing of 3 Southeast indigents in the FCT.
Executives' borrowing plans. Details of the loan utilization must be made available to us to ensure geographical spread and relevance to a current economic outlook.
In the same vein, the South-South Caucus has constituted its leadership with Representative Ayi Esen Ekpeyon as the chairman.
Meanwhile, Speaker, House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara says, as Nigeria appreciates investment by foreign companies, the legislature will continue to demand full compliance with the country's laws guiding their activities. It was his message to a stakeholders meeting on expatriate quota issues by the House Committee on Local Content. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The meeting brought together Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, representatives of the Ministries of Interior, Labor and Productivity, as well as Comptroller General of Immigration Service. It aims at addressing high level of laws violation as contained in the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010.
Deliberate effort intended to strengthen the allocation of resources in Nigeria. If we can collectively work as a team for this project, I think we would have achieved 35% of the problem in the industry.
And I agree with you that the skill sets in Nigeria and the oil industry is very deep. There are very few really that will not find Nigerians.
We are working with them closely to eliminate these practices.
Preliminary findings of the committee revealed areas of discrepancies in the administration of the country's Oil and Gas Act, hence the need for the stakeholders meeting. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo meets with apostolic leaders in Lagos. Let's join Vera for more stories. Vera, to you. Vera, to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lagos. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo has reassured Nigerians that the present administration will continually work towards providing solutions to all challenges presently confronting the nation. The Vice President stated this at a colloquium on the state of the nation. It was organized by the Coalition of Nigerian Apostolic Leaders in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports.
The Vice President disclosed that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is poised to fulfill all the campaign promises it made and adequately tackle all the current challenges, especially economic recession, in a short while. He says it is unfortunate that Nigeria ran into this economic situation as a result of the country's overdependence on oil and the previous administration's failure to save for the future. Professor Sibajo, however, disclosed that government has swung into action to address the situation through fiscal prudence, electronic payment platform, deregulation of the downstream sector of the economy, and job creation through putting in place enabling environment to encourage small and medium-scale industry.
We certainly just need to increase revenues. And increasing revenues again goes back to our ability to control the vandalization, which is our oil revenues, our ability to increase coverage, tax coverage, and all the other sources of earning.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, commended the coalition of Nigerian apostolic leaders for conveying the colloquium, as he described it as another collaborative effort by individuals and organizations to assist government in providing solutions to the nation's challenges.
What we have done is to counter them using what we call town hall meetings that allow us to speak with Nigerians directly while also getting the necessary feedback.
The organizers of the event say the church has a role to play inasmuch as they too engage in transforming individuals in the society.
To believe that you cannot transform a nation until you can transform its individuals, a role which the church is eminently qualified to do.
The interactive session afforded participants the opportunity to feed questions of national interest and responses provided by top government officials at the event. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboye Oyeyemi, says the major reason for making installation of speed limiting device compulsory for all commercial vehicles in Nigeria is to reduce reckless overspeeding and save lives of majority of Nigerians who use commercial transportation. The Corps Marshal says this during a visit to NTA Network Center in Lagos. Deji Ideu reports that the Corps Marshal also says that road safety officials will be tough on reckless drivers during the yellow tie period.
Since the advisory enforcement of the use of speed limiting device started on the 4th of October this year, over 100,000 commercial drivers have been given citation by the Federal Road Safety Commission for not installing the device. Available data from the Commission, however, shows that over 5,000 commercial vehicles with the device already installed are currently plying the roads, while over 7,000, mainly from the organized transport sector, are uploading the data of the vehicles with the device already installed. The Corps Marshal says the Commission is using the period of the advisory enforcement to enlighten commercial drivers on the need for the device, noting that the transport unions are cooperating with the Commission.
All the tank farms now, if you don't have speed limiting device installed, no transporter can load there. That is, so we are addressing the problem from the roots. Addressing the problem from the root will give us a lot of mileage in respect of this.
The Corps Marshal, however, disclosed the readiness of the Commission to ensure drastic reduction in road accidents this U-Tide period.
I've given firm instructions. Any infraction by any driver must be booked. You don't have your papers impounded, overloaded, you must deal with them. And driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol will not be tolerated. We need to have a departure from the past.
He says full enforcement of the speed limiting device will begin on the 1st of February next year, and the 14 commercial vehicles will be impounded by the Commission. In Lagos, Digido, NTA News.
Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has appealed to the National Assembly to revisit the issue of special status for Lagos State by readdressing the bill seeking the 1% allocation to Lagos from the revenue accruable to the federal government. The governor said the passage of the bill will translate to economic prosperity and well-being of Nigerians. The governor made the appeal when he received members of the Senate Committee on Maritime Transport at the Lagos House, Ikeja. Nusa Usula reports.
While clarifying the essence of the bill, the governor said the 1% special allocation from the revenue accruable to the federal government will, amongst other things, assist to meet the infrastructural needs of the state, which has become imperative owing to the growing population.
You will also observe that the infrastructure around the Apapa Port is not really befitting on what it should be. The real estate around the Apapa Port has actually overtaken the activities of the marine business there, and that's why we are forward-looking, thinking there must be a different way to do business of commerce.
Earlier, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Marine Transport, Alhaji Sani Yerima, commended Governor Ambode for the massive development going on in Lekki, especially the Lekki Deep Sea Port, situated at Lekki Free Trade Zone, among other massive projects across the state, adding that the Senate would support anything that has to do with the state.
We are here to make sure that the agencies of government are doing their job.
Yerima specifically assured the governor that the Senate would revisit the issue of the special status for Lagos, noting that as a former capital of the country, everything must be done to support the state. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Are you aware that cooking is the #1 cause of home fires? Are you also aware that refueling your generating set while power is on is dangerous and can lead to fire outbreak? These are more reasons for an awareness work on burns in Lagos. Annie Daniels reports that the work was organized by the Burns and Plastic Surgery Department of the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos.
Available statistics from the Burns and Plastic Surgery Department of the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos reveal that a sizable percentage of burns occur as a result of human error that are avoidable. Some of these include storing petrol at homes, tampering with electrical cables, gas leakages, among others. It is therefore to bring to the consciousness of the public the need to apply caution while handling fire-related objects that this work was organized.
Burn management is very expensive, so it is better to prevent the burn injury than actually have a burn injury.
The burns experts condemned the use of honey, raw eggs, engine oil and aloe vera as control reagents for burns.
The first thing you can do is to move away from the point of the danger. Put the affected part of the body in contact with running water for maybe 10 to 20 minutes.
There are some wounds which are small, which can be treated at home. But when the burn surface is much, engulfing the whole body, the best place is still the hospital. But we have low patronage. Some people come to the hospital, they say they want to go and do native therapy, which is not right. We have most of them dying in these places. So it's better they come to the hospital where they stand a better chance of survival.
The work went through some major streets in Lagos with one message: be burn aware, burns are preventable, and safety begins with you. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And these are top stories from Lagos at this hour. It's back to you, Lydia, for the rest of nationwide news.
Many thanks, Vera. President Muhammadu Buhari this Friday granted audience to the President of the Senate, Abubakar Bukola Saraki. Correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the Senate President, who is visiting the State House for the first time since the Senate's rejection of the foreign loan request by the executive, held talks with the Nigerian leader behind closed doors. Details of their discussions were not made public, but Senator Saraki told newsmen that there is no love lost between President Buhari and the legislature.
What about the things that we have passed and accepted? So don't let us politicize very important issues. As we said, this is a work in progress, nothing to worry about.
The Senate President, along with some senators, had earlier joined President Buhari to observe Jumat prayers at the State House Mosque. If the nation's prisons are to be successfully decongested, more organizations must have to come up with legal aid schemes to assist indigent persons charged with criminal offenses. This is the position of participants at the 3rd Annual NYSC Legal Officers and NYSC Core Lawyers Workshop held at the NYSC Orientation Camp in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Femi Okiowo reports.
While the NYSC continues to create impact in terms of its youth development to national growth, Its impact in the area of justice and the decongestion of prison through its legal aid scheme draws particular attention from the justice sector in Nigeria. Complementing the federal government's legal aid program through the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria, the NYSC since inception has provided the bedrock of lawyers that have been used to argue cases and represent indigent persons charged for criminal offenses. While commending this 4-decade-long service by the NYSC, Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Sule Zakari Kazauri, called for the strengthening of the legal aid scheme.
This workshop, therefore, is organized to consolidate on the gains so far made. The forum provides the opportunity to evaluate our programs for future improvement.
Professor Maxwell Gidado of the Faculty of Law, Nasarawa State University, spoke on how the Administration of Criminal Justice Act can be used to decongest prisons.
The problem with Nigerians is not with the law, but how that law is implemented. But good enough, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 has provisions that fortify even the provisions of the Constitution.
The core lawyers we have now have been doing cases in court. They've been visiting prisons.
The two previous NYSC legal officers and core lawyers workshops were held in Kogi and Niger States in 2014 and 2015. Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
From Kefi, we go to Benin, where there was a stalemate at the INEC office in Benin between the Council to the All Progressives Congress and of the People's Democratic Party over the inspection of electoral materials used in the Edo governorship election. Stephen Waokolo has more.
Lead counsel to the All Progressive Congress, APC, Mr. Victor Ohiemusu, asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to stop the ongoing inspection of the electoral materials pending the determination of the motion filed by the party that the inspection be done jointly at the tribunal. He contended that conducting the inspection at INEC office will not augur well for the ballot materials, which he says are sensitive in nature.
We decided to bring a motion, which we have filed on Tuesday, for the court to resolve the issue as to the venue of where the ballot papers should be counted and scanned. Now, that motion is pending and they have been served. We came here this morning, the INEC officers are saying they want to go ahead with the inspection of the ballot paper and scanning.
On the other hand, counsel to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Professor Edoba Omorege, asked the electoral umpire, INEC, to continue with the inspection as directed by the Electoral Tribunal in the ex parte order on the inspection of the materials.
What are they talking about? After they have gone almost 75% through with the exercise, they are now turning around to say that no.
Efforts to get the officials of INEC to respond to this were unsuccessful. In Benin, Steve Luna in Waokolo, NTA News.
And from Oka, 3 police officers allegedly shot and wounded in the Ukpo Abagana mayhem in Anambra State have been discharged from the hospital. Joy Iliogbu reports that other victims of the unfortunate incident are still receiving treatment in different hospitals.
The 4th police officer, Selfos Mato, who was in a state of coma when he was rushed to a hospital in Onitsha, was said to have suffered from what the doctors called neurological deficit and would take longer to heal. The 3 others, an inspector and 2 sergeants, have however been discharged. Other victims who were also reportedly shot and injured as a result of the communal clash, who are currently recuperating in different hospitals in Onitsha, Ifitedunu and Enugu, a 20-year-old widow of the young man who died in the attack, spoke to NTA News.
Special thanks to my doctor who's trying to thanks to God too, who made me to be alive today.
My husband did not achieve of all the promise that he made to us that he would do for us. And now we are begging.
Although the matter is currently before the court as suspects have been arraigned on a 14-count charges, the communities have been urged to sue for peace.
These are 2 communities that have lived as brothers and sisters. They share the same custom and tradition. They intermarry between each other. I don't see the reason why people will still be bickering for war revenge and all, you know.
Meanwhile, bordered by the prolonged land dispute between Ukpo and Abagana communities, the Anambra State Governor, Chief Willie Obiano, has set up a 10-member panel of inquiry to help resolve the crisis and prevent total anarchy. From Ukpo in Dunukofia local government area of Anambra State, Joy Iluebu, NTA News.
An investment that promises an outrageous return on interest higher than 20% without real assets has been described as fraudulent by discussants on NTA's current affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria. Their assertions were while x-raying the dangers involved in Mavrodi Mondial Money Box, popularly called MMM, that has got over 500,000 Nigerians keying into the scheme. Ngufan Shaji reports.
Discussion centered on the risk involved in wonder banks that operate in the country under various names with very juicy interest rates. The guest urged Nigerians to be mindful of shortcuts to wealth, emphasizing the need for Nigerians to ask questions like, what are these wonder banks investing in, given Nigerians' current economic situation, to make such profit?
MMM will tell you they don't accept deposits, that there is no lender and there is no debtor. They don't accept deposits. All they do is to match those who are donating with those who are seeking help. You see, whereas financial intermediation, will always require that if you mobilize deposits from the surplus unit, you channel to the deficit unit, and that deficit unit is expected to, invest and then bring in returns. So once there is no real investment, it is a Ponzi scheme. It is bound to crash.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, also cautioned regarding the Wonder Bank phenomenon, saying when the bubble bursts, the impact will be severe, as most of these wonder banks take advantage of the current challenges facing the nation to defraud Nigerians.
We have so many cases that we are doing. At a point, the EFCC, SEC, and CBN got together and we formed a committee. And the essence of that committee was to launch a major sensitization effort to educate people on the dangers of this Ponzi scheme.
It's bound to crash in a matter of few days because it is not sustainable.
Today, if you go to EFCC office in Enugu, even as I speak, you see tens of people whose deposits they can no longer access because this Wonder Bank in question, as we speak, is no longer working.
I believe that with what the president is doing, we youth should plug into it and build a stronger economy, build our country. Let's get our hand dirty. Let's work and build our country together.
In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
Patriotism to rebuild Nigeria has been described as a task on all Nigerians committed to the growth and development of the country. To this end, the Broom Media Services has identified the grassroots as a channel fit to drive the desired change. This was the focus of the Broom Local Government Media Award held in Abuja. Tessie Justin Bisong reports.
Identifying the grassroots as the most vulnerable in inadequate information dissemination, Executive Director, Broom Platform Media Services, expressed determination in creating strategies and templates of political and economic development that can be fused into the grassroots aspirations, as well as focus on rural development and integration, agricultural development and strategies, youth empowerment and self-reliance, in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's change mantra.
There is similarly a call for a more concerted effort on public information dissemination in Nigeria. And the award is a motivational scheme to ginger competition.
Award recipients lauded the initiative of the organization and pledged to keep the grassroots at the center point of policy making.
I'm very happy, I'm very delighted, and it will encourage me to do more for my people.
A total of 15 nominees from the 774 local government areas of the country were recognized with the Productivity Merit Award. Tessie Justin Bisong, NTA News.
And from Jos, participants to the think tank conference on the current economic recession, which took place at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS Kuru, have resolved that the economic downturn will be overcome if government boosts boosts local manufacturing and patronage of made-in-Nigeria goods. This was part of the 18-point communique. Bilkisu Nuhu has the details.
Participants, after due deliberation and discussion on the present economic challenges facing the country, also advised government to reduce interest rates on loans to farmers to encourage massive food production.
The federal government needs to adopt sustainable and suitable monetary and budgetary policies that will encourage low inflation, ease interest rates, galvanize higher productive investment, and foster higher growth.
The communique also wants government to take a critical look at some public officers taking double salary. Some of the participants expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the findings and resolution.
It's an indication that Nigeria will come out of the recession it finds itself today. And of course, not only solutions for coming out of the recession, but also for long-lasting, so that the economy will thrive for the good of today and for better tomorrow.
And for us to come out of that recession, we must look inward. Looking inward is trying to make sure that we do things in our own way.
Bongom Jos, Da Jacob Gang Buba, who was represented by the Sumpian, Da Charles Mato, and the Acting Director General of NIPS, Dr. Jonathan Juma, said the participants did not recommend the sales of national assets, which they say is a clear manifestation of their careful and mature deliberations. In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu, NTA News.
Nationwide continues after this break. Stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
My name is Femi Anikula Kukuti. I'm going to be at the Afrima village on the 4th of November 2016. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you are there.
This is unstoppable. Over 30 African stars and our Afrima nominees will be performing live. Diamond Platinum, Kiss Daniel, Dewale Ayuba, Eddie Kenzo, VVIP, Niniola, Ramide, Mbula, Small Doctor, H-Name, and other 30 African stars. On Friday, November 4th, 2016, come and enjoy original African underground sound at the Afrima Music Village at the Waterfront Bar Beach, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria, from 5 p.m. Entry fee is simply Afrima t-shirt. Available on ariatickets.com or at the venue. Afrima is an initiative of the African Union Commission and is brought to you by Lagos State Government with support from One Campaign, Access Bank, PRM Africa, and the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Africa will be unstoppable. Afrima, for hope, for celebration.
NTA, official broadcast station.
Caroline, have you gone Higo? Have you gone Wacko? Have you gone bananas?
Ah, only you. 4 wraps of fufu, 3 big meat. 1 full plate of ikwobi, me.
This week on your award-winning comedy series, Professor John Bull, starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Wokoye, Yomi Fash Lanso, MC for God, Stephen Odingwe.
Young man, I only got up to go and pee. You want to go and pee, Abi? And you are doing like Olongini, pussycat.
What exactly is wrong with this car? I don't know what is wrong with it. I can fix your car.
Hey, Chineke!
Professor John Bull, fasten your seatbelts this Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA Network, International, and Star Times. It's absolutely bombastic.
Over and out. The largest data network, Glow, Grandmasters of Data.
Our latest edition of TV Guide is out. This edition of your favorite magazine will simply blow your mind. The package is loaded and our offering is quite illuminating. NTA has a new Director General, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, a tested and trusted professional, an old wine that keeps getting better with age. This is the new driver of the digital switch-over train. Get to know him more in TV Guide. And now, on our cover is one of Nigeria's finest comic actors, Afiz Oyetoro, aka Saka. Peep into his world and you will see how he is putting from glory to glory. The change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, we did an assessment so far. All our refreshing columns and incisive features are a collector's item and research materials. TV Guide, available on your newsstands and in all NTA stations nationwide. Also in our embassies in United Kingdom, USA, China, Ghana and Egypt. TV Guide, grab a copy and give one to a friend. TV Guide, still your indispensable companion.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
For over 25 years, I have been privileged to anchor various programs on television. But the news program that I find most exciting and challenging is The Weekend File. This is largely because of its philosophy of engaging all classes of people, the artisans, politicians, technocrats, captains of industry, and professional analysts on issues that touch all aspects of life and living. In the conversations that follow, you find complexities, different views, ideologies, thought patterns, and individual beliefs. It's quite engaging. We do this Saturdays on NTA network service at 9 p.m. It's Weekend File, but you call it Weekend Companion, and it's all about nation building. Join me, Kirian Umayo, and production crew every Saturday for this weekend treat, and I can tell you that it is unmissable. Make it a day.
Welcome back as Nationwide continues. We now join our Benin network centers on Shomole Talks on Infrastructure. Details with Ameze. Ameze, it's over to you.
Thank you, Lydia. We welcome you to the Benin Network Center. Benin, the Edo State capital, on the threshold of history, as the people count down to the inauguration of a new administration. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected in Benin from the 7th of November to inaugurate some of the projects executed by the Adams Oshomole administration. In this report, Agatha Egwari Ojo examines the achievements of the outgoing administration in road construction and rehabilitation.
Infrastructure is key to medium and long-term development in fast-tracking socio-economic boom. This explains the efforts put in by Governor Adams Oshomole's led administration in addressing the road deficit faced by the state prior to his coming on.
Nigerian must stand for peace. This was the message of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State at the Palace of Olu of Warri when some deserving sons and daughters were conferred with chieftaincy titles. Muhammad Abdul Kadri has the details.
In a bid to set new agenda for peace to reign in the Niger Delta, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa said all Deltans must work for peace. He identified tradition and culture as veritable tools for peace building in the society.
It is my hope that working along with those that they have met in your council, that will look into more ways of bringing peace, development, and love in this very, very tough
The Olu of Warri tasked the newly installed chiefs to work with their old colleagues to be chief campaigners for peace in their domains.
Installing a chief is a call to service. It's a call to service. Because of her importance, and installed, we expect that people contribute positively to the progress and development of this kingdom, and of course the states and Nigeria at large. So please, whatever you need to do to enhance the states, it's our kingdom, and Nigeria, please don't hesitate.
Both parties agreed to deploy government and traditional machineries to promote peace and unity in the state. In Warri, Delta State, Muhammad Abdel Kadri, NTA News.
And finally, from the Benin Network Center comes the report that the Rubber Research Institute of Nigeria has inaugurated a prototype rubber sheet processing factory at its head office in Iyanomo, Benin City. Frank Okonofwa tells us more.
Our sheet machine has the capacity to process approximately 500 sheets per hour. The acting executive director took the representative of the permanent secretary and guests around the factory while emphasizing the need to invest more in the Rubber Research Institute for better performance. The Rubber Research Institute of Nigeria, collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, as well as the Federal Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, to acquire a number of lower sheet machines for the use of smallholders for value addition to their lattice.
This patronage of local manufacturers is a sign of positive development and will in no doubt increase local demand for natural rubber and will likely boost activities in the rubber industry.
The federal government is coming back to agriculture, and we are being encouraged to go back to rubber farming.
The representative of the permanent secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources, said the ministry is ready to partner the Rubber Research Institute to attain its potentials. In Benin, Frank Okonofwa, NTA News.
That's our offering from Benin. We thank you for watching. We wish you a very great weekend. It's back to Lydia for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Many thanks, Amenze. The need to stop self-serving leaders in the Niger Delta from stifling development in the region has been emphasized. This was the thrust of civil society organizations' media roundtable on interrogating the Ogoni struggle held in Abuja. Speakers at the event highlighted late Ken Saro-Wiwa as a symbol of the movement, but described his execution 21 years ago by a former military regime in Nigeria as an unfair judicial murder.
This meeting is calling for the release of the Ogoni boss that has been seized by Colonel Ahmed Ali, who was himself part of the tribunal, the military tribunal that killed Ken.
We used the opportunity of this meeting to call on the Buhari-led government to do a review of the trial that sentenced Ken Saro-Wiwa to death. So those that presided over that tribunal, that military tribunal that sentenced Ken Saro-Wiwa to death in 1995, ought to face, some charges at the International Criminal Court.
1 minute silence was observed in honor of late Ken Saro-Wiwa and his collaborators, who they said gave their lives for the well-being of the Ogoni people. Benue State government to forestall herdsman-farmer crisis. Let's join Susan in our Makurdi Network Center for this and other stories. Good afternoon, Susan. It's over to you.
Good to see you, Lydia, and welcome to Makurdi. A central committee to take proactive measures on preventing any future herdsmen and farmers crisis has been set up by the Benue State government. This was at the expanded security meeting in Makurdi. Achigile Magaji has details.
The meeting had in attendance its usual member.
Has more.
The 2-week workshop, which is at the instance of the National Mathematical Center in collaboration with the Sustainable Development Goals Office and the Benue State government, is to enable teachers adopt new methodologies in the teaching and learning of mathematics and to also expose students to the chances of having improved academic competence and better memory power. Director and Chief Executive of the National Mathematical Center, Professor Stephen Ona, urged the Benue State government to key into the strategy by sponsoring the extension of the training to more students and teachers in the state.
The center is collaborating with the State Ministry of Education to work towards making the mental arithmetic part of the curriculum at both the primary and junior secondary school.
Benue State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Dennis Itiavia, who represented Governor Samuel Otom at the occasion, commended the center for the training and said the state government is in the process of converting 3 secondary schools in the state to science model schools so as to improve the learning of mathematics and sciences. Mathematical kits were presented to the participating schools, which they are expected to use in improving the skills of their students. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ibuti, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Benue State government has taken measures to reposition its civil service towards effective service delivery. Achigili Magaji reports that as part of these efforts, Governor Samuel Otom has inaugurated the State Civil Service Commission with the former Minister of State for Education, Professor Jerry Agada, as its chairman.
While inaugurating the members, Governor Samuel Otom said the constitution of the commission is to ensure efficiency in the state civil service. The governor tasked the new members on the issues of discipline, reluctance of civil servants to retire even when they are due, as well as promotions and placements. He assured the civil servants that government has no plans to retrench staff, even in the face of over-bloated salary wage bill.
We believe that once guided by the foregoing, they would help the civil service and indeed the state in its desire to enforce sanity, discipline, accountability, which are necessary to help our government to meet its campaign promises.
The new chairman of the commission, Professor Jerry Agada, assured the governor and the Benue people that they will work to justify their appointments. Similarly, the governor inaugurated the State Steering Committee for the implementation and management of the 2 billion naira matching fund agreement between the state government and the Bank of Industry, with the governor himself as the chairman. In Makurdi, Achigili Magaji, NTA News.
That does it from Makurdi. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more on NTA Nationwide.
Thank you, Susan. The police says they are moving away from analog policing done by what they see or hear to carry out investigation to digital policing driven by technology in crime and crime detection. Commissioner of Police in charge of Administration for CID, Moses.
Go there, we know how to meet fingerprints of those who committed the offense.
The program, organized by the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement arm of the U.S. government.
The U.S. Embassy looks forward to continuing to support the Nigeria Police Force to sustain the U.S. and Nigeria's commitment to build the long-term institutional capacity of the Nigeria Police Force.
Was facilitated by Atlanta Police Academy. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Global Tidbits is next with Ogechi Paul.
Has accused the United Nations of bowing to pressure from other countries by setting up an investigation that pinned the blame for peacekeeping failures in South Sudan on the Kenyan force commander. Kenya Ambassador Macharia Kamau charged that, I quote, certain current and future members of the Security Council had pushed for a probe with a preordained outcome that targeted the Kenyan general, unquote. The UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sacked Lieutenant General Johnson Ondieki after the investigation showed that peacekeepers failed to protect civilians during heavy fighting in Juba in July. Ondieki has since been replaced as force commander by Major General Xiaoyong Zhang of China. Ivory Coast is set to hold her parliamentary elections on December 18, 2016. The government stated this on Thursday after hailing victory in a referendum on constitutional change. Although the opposition boycotted the last legislature polls in 2011, it is set to take part this time. The announcement came at the week of the government's resounding victory in a referendum over a controversial new constitution proposed by President Alassane Ouattara.
Organized by the Kids and Play After School Sports Initiative, the workshop, which brainstormed on 7 core areas including first aid treatment, is aimed at equipping participants with the requisite knowledge in athletics.
2017, we will have 3,000 athletes in the FCT, trained, and they are continuing to be trained in every location in each area council of the FCT.
Usain Bolt is set to compete and lead a team in the new Australia. Bolt, who won the 100 and 200 meters sprint and the 4x100 meters relay gold medals at the Beijing, London and Rio Olympics, attended the launch in Melbourne to explain a format which features a mix of power, endurance and team events in sprints, distance and field disciplines. The Jamaican will reportedly receive $1 million for his involvement in the series. With sports updates, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.